The 5-0 first place Langley Rams taking on the 3-2 Vancouver Island Raiders. One of the matchups coming up in Week 6 in the British Columbia Football Conference. I am Dominic Abassi, good enough to be joined by the two head coaches, Howie Zaron in Langley and Vancouver Island, Curtis Vizza. And I'll start with both of you, the look back on the Week 5 matchups. And Curtis, let's start with you. A big win on the road, 47-16 over the Huskers. What are some of the key takeaways from your group's effort?
Oh man, nothing but relentlessness. Like, getting into that game, we knew it was a physical game, and the biggest part we talked about was just kind of never giving up, always playing the whistle, like going back to basic football, but then seeing them execute at a level was, very impressive. The takeaway for me was, that our defense can put in some pretty good heat now, and we're putting the right guys in the right places, coached up pretty well. And, playmakers make plays, and we got Jake LaBerge back in the game, and right off the bat, he got into it, led the offense, and as a whole, was a great team win.
Howie, for you, a result that I think, certainly myself was closer than what I was expecting. What were your takeaways from the 14-10 victory over the Okanagan Sun?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway for me is that that's the first time we were ever down late in the game, and it was good to see us rally late. I knew going into it with the 5 a.m. bus ride and all that stuff that it was going to be pretty tough, and sure enough, it was. But at the same time, you got to give the Okanagan Sun credit. I think that's probably the best game they've played all year. So I give the Okanagan Sun full credit for a tough game, but also I got to take a little bit of the fault myself, not having us ready for that 5 a.m. bus ride.
Curtis, 8 interceptions in the last 2 weeks for your secondary, and I don't want to get Kareem Mayer too pumped up with his ego there, your defensive coach, but what are you seeing with that group right now? What's clicking?
We're finally solidifying guys. We're getting consistency back there, and for us, that's huge. Like, we're getting better pressure out of our front seven, so that there's forcing some bad throws. But the coverage-wise, we got some consistency now. So Ego Cremer, he's a bit worried about his second place all-time record that came up on the drive home from Jeremy Chang. But as a whole, right now, it's some consistency. Guys getting the gelling chemistries there right now.
Howie, what about you? I'm sure you've seen the film and how this Raiders secondary has progressed. What are you seeing there, and how? I won't ask you how you plan to attack it because you won't tell me, but what do you need to be aware of as you line up to play them this weekend?
Well, to be honest with you, I think the biggest difference right now for the Raiders is I just think they're gelling now. And you know what? Maybe it was the new coaching staff. Maybe it was the turnover of players or whatever the case may be. I don't know. But if you watch them now, they just look like they're more of a one unit than they are 12 guys out there, if you know what I mean. And, obviously when you have a unit playing as one, they're a lot more dangerous, and it shows.
Howie, what are your observations, memories of Caledonia Park in Nanaimo? That's where you'll be this weekend. I love to ask people that aren't from Nanaimo and aren't from Vancouver Island what they think. What are things that jump out to you?
Well, I missed the pirate ship. I know that.
Everybody.
No doubt. I feel you.
Yeah. A lot of people, they don't like that park, but you want to know something? It may be a little old, a little beaten up, but it's got a lot of tradition. And you know what? The Raiders, they call that home, and they love it. So, you know what? I guess you call it a lot of home field advantage if you got every other team bitching about it. But as far as we go, we just go there, we play football, and it is what it is. We're not going to complain about this or that. It's their home field. It's not ours. So we're just going to go there and play football.
Curtis, looking back on week 1, that 42-30 loss on the road against Langley, anything applicable from that, or do you kind of flush that out? We're so far down the line. How do you sort of look at the first matchup?
You know what? That for us was, we played a great team, and they've gotten better. I saw that they added a big old linebacker from the U of M there, and we were playing some of the best athletes, in the BCFC. So for us, that game, big learning curve. Obviously, we had a very young team. Do we flush it? We can't flush it. We got to take something to learn from it. So for us, it was more of a stepping stone to go forward, to get where we are at this point. Gelling for sure. I definitely see us kind of becoming more of a unit. But that game for us, we obviously we didn't see, Langley's best because, they had their mistakes as well that they've grown from. But as a whole, it was just stepping stone.
I want to ask both of you this. I'll start with you, Howie. Putting you both on the spot in a way. We're into the second half of the season now. Biggest surprise from the first half of the season? It can be a team, a player's performance, a game of yours, someone else's. What jumped out? Biggest surprise first half?
For me, I guess the struggles of the Huskers. I thought they would roll into this season and be a little better. I'm not quite sure what's happened over there. I don't know if it's a personnel thing or what it is. It might just come down to maybe just too many new bodies for the Huskers. But I would say that's the biggest surprise for me. Is I thought the Huskers would be in the playoff race, and now it's kind of looking like just 4 teams jockeying for 1 to 4.
What about you, Curtis? And you can't steal Howie's answer on the Huskers, but that's a popular one right now.
That was where I was going to go with it. If I can't say Huskers, then I'm going to probably shift the Okanagan Sun. And kind of their offensive struggles. That's something I've never encountered in all the years being involved in the CGFL. That's kind of always been a team that's been strong on all facets of the ball. But and that, again, could be the new coaching. It could be different bodies, different places. Last year coming off of the loss to the Rams in the final. Where guys go. But as a whole, I would say the struggles their offense are having. They run the ball very well, but when it comes to their pass game, I'm a little bit shocked. But obviously, something went very well last week. To be competing in that tight with the Rams. So, something I still get to see it all.
Gentlemen, really great stuff. I appreciate both of your time. Best of luck this weekend.
Thanks,
see you soon, Coach.
Yep. See you.
All right. Thanks, Dom.